guys, just to let y'all know, for if you're waiting right now for the live stream, we are starting at 6 o'clock p.m. Right, so in the meantime, you can just enjoy with some music while these guys are playing FIFA on Cesar's Switch. But we will be going live at 6 p.m. for the RGVFC versus Fresno FC pregame show live from HEB Park.
turn me off. You wanna flip the switch. I wanna break the lock. I know what makes you tick. We used to be so young and free. Yeah, baby, don't treat me like a machine. I could still be just what you need. No, baby, don't treat me like a machine. Wanna go to your apartment, take it back to where we started. We'll be everything you wanted, you wanted, you wanted. And I know it could be perfect, and I know it would be worth it. We'll be everything you wanted. Don't treat me like a machine. I could still be just what you need. No, baby, don't treat me like a machine. We used to be so young and free. Yeah, baby, don't treat me like a machine. I could still be just what you need. No, baby, don't treat me like a machine. Wanna go to your apartment, take it back to where we started. We'll be everything you wanted, you wanted, you wanted. And I know it could be perfect, and I know it would be worth it. We'll be everything you wanted, you wanted, you wanted. On it, on it, on you wanted, on it, on it, on you wanted, on it, on it, on you wanted.
I felt like running through the pouring rain. I felt like letting go of my mind. I felt it coming with no ground to brace. I think I just might be bad for you, drowning by the fact that I don't need a reason to be bad for you. I'm losing my head and I'm mad for you. I'm going crazy and a little confounded, 'cause I'm helpless, I can't wait to be drowned by your love, baby. You're a stranger, get on the unbalanced, just a little damage, but with you I don't wanna be here. I felt like running through the pouring rain. I felt like letting go of my mind. I felt it coming with no ground to break. ways. I think I just might be bad for you, drowning by the fact that I don't need a reason to be bad for you. I'm losing my head, no, I'm not for you. For you. I'm reaching out and my heart is with you. So much in between, things we've never seen. You're a mirage that my mind can't see through. Are you here with me? One day we can see. And all my life, unbroken ways, but I know that time makes ways. But I know that time makes ways. And all my life, unbroken ways, but I know that time makes ways. But I know that time makes ways. Yeah, I know that time makes ways. All my life, unbroken ways, but I know that time makes ways. But I know that time makes ways. And will my light be there one day? All I know is frozen waves, but I'm hoping time makes ways. I'm holding on to the image of you, live from far away, information highway. You're a mirage that my mind will cling to. Though you're far away, we can make a way. All my life, unbroken ways, but I know that time makes ways. Yeah, I know that time makes ways.
and welcome to a Down in the Valley show. We are live from HEB Park. This is going to be an epic show indeed. We got a ton to talk about. We've got a lot to talk about for tonight, and of course from Wednesday as well. Not just from the Open Cup, because there was actually an RGVFC Toros match, but of course mainly a lot of fans were excited about the Dynamo game, including myself. Yes, I didn't really catch that game, but I'm excited to talk for tonight. Our final home match. This is why we're doing this. This is going to be epic.
Yeah, of course, Jacob. It's going to be an epic match. We got RGVFC versus Fresno Foxes. Last home game of the season.
Who invited the San Antonio fan here?
Yeah, I'll explain that in a minute. Yeah, we got RGVFC versus Fresno Foxes. It should be a great match. Hopefully, we'll see some fireworks on and off the field. You know, hopefully they'll be able to go out with a bang.
Definitely. I think at least we can think of this team to continue to build up at least some momentum for next season, because, I mean, we are out of the playoffs ever since we tied against Colorado Springs Switchbacks about, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, I think right now it's just pretty much figuring out who's going to stay, who's going to have to go for next season. But this tonight's match is going to be very promising. We have two good teams with Fresno. I think Fresno is still trying to find a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. So we'll be interesting to see what lineup Coach Echeverry is going to use.
Yeah, exactly. Because you look at it, we still got to know for sure about Bryce Marion and Chuy Enriquez. Most likely those two will stay, plus Todd Wharton. And this is kind of their game to see where they're at in order to go to most likely Houston, because they've got an opportunity to go to Houston because they look that good. Of course, we will see them here next year, but just like Edson said, this is a game for the whole group, basically, because we want to know who's going to actually end up staying here. And guess what? We might be able to play spoilers tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Cesar?
Yeah, and you bringing up the Open Cup match, we had, at least two alumni players for RGVSC?
So we had Mauro Manotas, who started, and then Kevin Garcia, who came in for Felipe Senderos, who went off with an injury in the first half. And so they were the ones that played in the Open Cup match.
I know you actually got a few words with Kevin, right?
Yes, actually, I did get a few words with Kevin when they were celebrating inside the locker room. It was pretty fun. But basically, to summarize, by the way, I did upload it to Twitter. So, guys, follow us at downtotheRGV.com and be sure to check out the video, the audio that I got with Kevin Garcia. So, I'm talking about RGVFC's importance to where he is now. And he also gave a couple of words and some motivation for our young guys here at RGVFC and any future players that might be thinking of going into the Houston Dynamo from the Toros.
And it was a prime example with them winning the Open Cup match. You know, they started out at RGVFC, and that's something that, you know, all of the Toros players have something to look forward to, you know, have some motivation.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, a big thing about all this and that motivation is, well, guess what? Houston's in the Champions League now. And so, of course, guess what? We're still going to be wanting to fight for that U.S. Open Cup spot. But it also goes with, well, that's pretty cool, with who's going to end up starting those matches. Why? Because it's going to be a lot it's going to be a lot of players from RGVFC and a couple that are, well, brought up for those games. And that's going to be kind of, well, yeah, an interesting thing to look for from Matt Jordan if Matt Jordan ends up watching tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And we talked about it in last week's Down in the Valley, which was, what is the future for this team? Mm-hmm. In regards to, we were talking about, what if the Dynamo did win the Open Cup match? And it happened. So now what do we have to think? What were one of the things that we were talking about that?
I don't remember. I was serving up Frosties and double stacks.
Who, by the way, we are, just to let you all know, we are not sponsored by Wendy's.
Nope.
So this is not, we are not getting paid for that. That was just him saying he actually does work at Wendy's.
He gets paid for it, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, before we continue, I just want to let you all know that if you guys live here in the Rio Grande Valley, it's a beautiful day outside. I'm just going to turn it around really quickly. Hopefully. It's a beautiful day for soccer here at HEB Park. You know, there's really no excuse if you guys live in the valley. There's no excuse for y'all not to come and watch the Toros. There was a forecast of rain. There's really not a cloud in the vicinity, and so it's gonna be a beautiful day. And doors open at 6:30. First 600 people through the gates get a Mr. Toro bobblehead. Mr. Toro, say hi. So
Awesome.
you guys get something really cool. We can't keep this Mr. Toro, but you guys get to keep your Mr. Toro when you walk in through the gates. So you guys are getting something out of this at least.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fan store is actually 30% off for this last game of the season. So be sure to go down there too. Take advantage of that.
So do want to say hi to Alex Centeno. He says, "LOL, I'm in line at the Dynamo game right now. I'm trying to get a picture with the Open Cup trophy." So, Alex, thank you for tuning in live from BBVA Compass Stadium. Don't forget, since you are going to be there, be sure to get that Albert Elise bobblehead and take a picture of it. Let us know what it is. But yeah, let's go ahead and go back and continue what we were talking about. So, one of the things that we did talk about that is, number one, roster depth.
Exactly.
We are going to be, the Houston Dynamo, I need to remind myself not to use we.
I know it's tough for me as well. I do it.
Yeah, and especially kind of little parentheses here in the Open Cup. After the Open Cup, when we did the press conference, I caught myself right before I was gonna say when Wilmer Cabrera was on. I just when the team does, yeah.
Dang.
But what I wanted to say is, so the Houston Dynamo next season is gonna be participating in 3 different tournaments.
Yeah.
Obviously, your MLS, Open Cup still, and CONCACAF Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 major competitions that this team is going to have to divide itself for.
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean? It means, number one, Matt Jordan is going to have to be busy during this offseason in order to bolster up that roster.
Yeah.
Number 2, that means that we will more than likely see a lot more Toros players next season being called up to play Open Cup matches.
And that's fine as long as we have depth for young players. I'm all right with all of this. Why am I so all right with it? Yes, I can put aside my Houston Dynamo fandom for a bit. But at the same time, this is why this club is here. It wasn't technically meant to... Wow. Okay.
That's not good.
That's a first.
Should we just step outside to check? Well, whatever.
Well, if we die in a fire, it's gonna boost up our ratings. So
yeah, true. Down in the Valley crew die in fire. Tragic, but hey, got 1 million views.
It was well worth the scarring.
Exactly.
It was as if it already happened.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying, basically, I'm fine with all this because this club is meant for this to happen. And we gain these players, we gain these young players that are 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and we're making them into these players that can go and play in these types of tournaments. It's okay because it gives the players that we don't really know about, like David Cabrera, Wilmer Cabrera Jr., and even players that we haven't really seen on the pitch, even Kyle Adams, yeah, he'll probably be playing, but players of that nature that we don't really get to see out on this pitch be able to play. Yes, we'll struggle against the likes of teams that don't have this type of trouble, but in the long run, it makes our team a lot better that we can find these extra gems in a way before, so that we actually have that depth, basically.
Not to mention, there's we still have the academy players to look forward to. Look at who actually got his debut. Brandon Morales.
Exactly.
My biggest concern, because we're talking about...
Other than the fire immediately.
Well, that's not really a concern for me, you know. No,
Exactly.
But in all seriousness, my biggest concern with this whole thing is I'm worried about our RGVFC's depth. Just take a look at this in the middle of the week. We lost 4-0 with our bench players. We lost 4-0 to Reno. Granted, it was Reno, but the way that they played, it left a lot to be desired. And a lot of these players, like Monday Edson, like I guess you can say, well, David Cabrera has only played once before, but like Monday Edson, who else played up on top? It was, you know. And what I'm saying is, like, a lot of these bench players, because I mean, we got rid of a couple of players during the season. You know, we got rid of Zach Wright, we got rid of John Montaño, and we got rid of Guillermo Delgado. Yeah. And so now, you know, whenever we don't play with our big guys, we struggle, especially up on top, which means that Matt Jordan not only is going to have to focus on the Dynamo. But he's going to have to focus on the Toros as well if we want this to be successful, if Coach Echeverry wants this team to be successful. Yeah. I don't know. My biggest concern as well is how much of a priority does Matt Jordan going to have for us?
Well, he's got to have a priority if he wants to succeed in every aspect.
Hi, Cisco.
What's up, Cisco?
Hey, dude.
Yeah, if you want to succeed, you just have to make your roster bigger, and you've got to make your owners spend money, basically. And from what I can see there, we had Kai Green especially, and Kyle Adams, all these players that will most likely play when these starters are out, because you've got Carlos Small that will most likely make his debut for the Houston Dynamo this next season. Why? Because that's the whole reason why Matt Jordan got him. Yes, he sent him down here for a bit, but at the same time, you grab this player, you want him to play. Yes, of course, he's on that loan, but most likely, the way that he's been playing here, there's a reason why he's here, and Houston will want to keep this man, especially if Aldo doesn't play the way that he can play.
Now, you have to remember, and this is coming from the Panamanian press, we do have an option to buy for Carlos Small, but it all depends on him. It all depends on his performance. Yeah. And I think so far he's done decent. I think he has helped out the offense in a way where they not only have to deal. They really have to deal with the trifecta: Chuy Enriquez, Aldo Quintanilla, Carlos Small. Carlos Small has got strength and he's got speed, and he is not afraid to use it, and he knows when to use it. But there are other players that, frankly, have been a major disappointment this season, and that includes Jorginho James, who played this past week. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the roster, right? So this is who we have. We have Kai Green. We have Robert Castellanos, Manny Padilla, Jorginho James, Matias Saldivar, Nico Perea, Pablo Aguilar, Chuy Enriquez, David Cabrera, who has only played 103 minutes, Todd Warden, Bryce Marion, Maines, Victor Garza, who is out with an injury, who is out, I believe it was a knee injury, so he was out for the whole season. You have, obviously, Max Steves, who underwent hip surgery. Yeah. So Max Steves underwent hip surgery, out for the rest of the season as well. Connor Donovan, who has continuously been coming down on a loan from the Houston Dynamo since he did sign a first-team contract. We also have Jordan Jones, who has played 728 minutes, 0 goals, 1 assist, 13 shots. I thought the way they talked about Jordan Jones, I expected him to at least have a minimum of one, 2 goals. But when he's being inconsistent as far as minutes, because he's been pretty much relegated just to the bench, or something's not even coming out. You know, it's difficult for a forward to kind of get himself into a groove. And but I mean, I understand that, you know, Coach Echeverry sees the potential in players like Aldo Quintanilla, Carlos Small. What I don't understand though is Edson.
Well, because Monday at one point he had impressed. Well, actually, I take back what I just said, because it goes back to that whole thing that we were also talking about at the start of the season. And at the start of the season, we were talking about they impress in practice, but when it comes to game time, they freak out. I think that's the whole reason why he gets so impressed with these players during practice that he forgets, guess what? They can't play a whole 90 minutes. They get too scared or whatever, or just aren't playing their best. They get crowd shocked, which they really shouldn't, because honestly, 4,000 fans in the stadium at least, and we average maybe 7,000 a game. That's not that big of a crowd, in my opinion, for a player to get scared, especially when you're at home. Yes, it can be travel, but when you're at home, there's no reason for you to be afraid.
Especially with the fact, if this team is supposed to be to prepare players for the Houston Dynamo in MLS, you're talking about an average attendance, which is bad in MLS standards, but it's still a lot more than here at HEB Park. Yeah. And if you're being starstruck, well, not starstruck, but you know, you have stage fright in front of 4,000 people, then you're not gonna be doing good up against 11,000, 12,000, or 16,000 in the case of the Open Cup final, or
70,000 in the case of when you go to Atlanta.
Yeah. So there's a lot of work to be done with this team. Obviously, us three are not at practices, so we don't see what's going on in there. We don't see these players every day. Coach Echeverry does. However, we have to reach a decision based on these performances throughout the season and these next games to come. He's going to have to make a decision. Hey, you know what? Okay, he's good. He's shown that he can. Okay, these batch of players have potential, but maybe they need something to work on in order to finish polishing them. And then you have these players saying, you know what? I don't see anything coming from you. You're not ready to be a professional. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to go. You know, it's about the time. If we want to be successful for next season, the time is now to do it. Especially with the fact that we're gonna have to, like we were talking about, we're gonna have to divide ourselves with the fact that we're gonna have some of our players, especially our captain Todd Warden, Chuy Enriquez, Aldo Quintanilla, being called up next season for Open Cup. Yeah. You know, so, and then who knows? We might see some of these players in CONCACAF if they do good enough. You know, so you know, it's all up to y'all guys.
And that's not including the fact if and only if RGV gets a shot at the Open Cup themselves.
Okay, so
that's terrible.
That's why I said if.
That's never going to happen.
And it's a good thing you brought this up, because it's something that came up during the week, and that is, you guys remember that the USL completely rebranded itself for next season. So now you're going to have the USL Championship, which thankfully RGVFC is going to stay in the USL Championship. We do have what is currently D3 will be League One, USL League One. And then you also have what's currently the PDL will be the USL D2. Now, there are talks. I'm not sure it's going to be implemented for next season, but there are talks that they will be adding what's going to be the USL, kind of like, for example, the FA. Is it no? The Open Cup is FA Cup.
Yeah, Open Cup would be
So like the Carabao Cup.
Exactly.
So like the Carabao Cup for the USL, which would be an interleague tournament of all three USL divisions, and so it will be interesting to see how the Toros, if this cup does come into fruition, how the Toros are going to prepare themselves for this, you know?
Yeah.
Or if the Houston Dynamo will even like prepare them for that.
Well, they would prepare them in this way. You just start the academy players basically for RGVFC, because technically still they are Houston Dynamo academy players in a sense. So in my opinion, if that were to happen, you'd get basically 16, 17, 18-year-olds basically from there that haven't made it to the first team. You get that practice squad to start in those. That would be on the worst if Houston were to really allow them to kind of get into that cup, because we all know what's going to end up happening in the years or in the year to come. Basically February game time, and you're gonna see maybe most likely Todd Wharton, Connor Donovan, a lot of these players taken to Houston.
Yeah, and it's pretty much, it's part of the pipeline. We have to get used to that. We're going to have to get used that our players are going to be signing first team contracts. You know, because the Houston Dynamo is going to continuously prepare and fill that roster, especially now with these three competitions that they're going to be playing in. So we will most likely see, if they do sign first team contracts, we more than likely will see them playing Open Cup. But compared to 2017, I think this will be more along the lines of 2018, in which, for example, Connor Donovan signed with the first team, but yet he consistently was being loaned down to RGVFC. Why? Because you need minutes. You need minutes to continue to develop. Yeah. And in 2017, that's why we didn't understand. That's what the Dynamo technical staff did not understand. So we lost really good players like Charlie Ward. We lost obviously George Malky, Jose Escalante, because they were not being they were up in Houston, but they were not sent down to RGV to continue their process. They got exasperated, and relationships turned sour. I mean, Charlie Ward said it himself. He says, "I completely respect the fans of RGVFC. I love this organization. Yes, I am playing for somebody else, and I'm going to respect that for the San Antonio now. However, I do love everything that the RGVFC did for me. They gave me the opportunity to debut here in the United States. Houston is a completely different story." And he completely called out Matt Jordan and Wilmer Cabrera by name, you know, because he felt it was a disrespect by them that he was not even given a chance. Now he's with San Antonio, and he continues to show why he's a good player. In 2018, you know, Connor Donovan continues to play, and he's gotten better. Just remember in the beginning of the season how we always saw like Connor Donovan making mistakes that cost us own goals. Have you seen Connor Donovan do those things recently?
No. He's been one of our best players.
Exactly, and it all comes down with getting playtime, getting minutes, getting experience, and I think it's done a whole lot of good for us. And so we hope that this process continues to happen for next season. If Todd Wharton, if Aldo Quintanilla, which okay. Out of all our players right now, I think the only one that I think is ready to earn a first team contract is Todd Wharton. I think everybody else continues. There's still some things that they need to tweak with the Toros before the Houston Dynamo can say, okay, they're ready to come up. And if that happens, you know, I think that Nico Perea might be up for the task.
And another player that got sent down from the first team was Eric Bird, who recently played with the Toros against Seattle, who actually had a goal.
Yes. Oh, and what a beautiful goal.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. He's been sent down. I don't believe this was his first time to be sent down to RGV, because he was sent down for that 10 a.m. classic in the hot heat of South Texas. But one thing that I do want to mention, because you mentioned Charlie Ward and how things got sour. Guess what? Houston Dynamo kind of listened and learned from their mistake. We haven't lost Chris Seitz yet. We haven't lost Tyler Derrick yet. They've gotten minutes down here. Did they want minutes? Yeah. For sure. They needed minutes. Oh, yes. So Chris Seitz was down here. Other players of that caliber were down here. That's why I don't believe that we will lose players this season due to that. Only due to, were you really that good, or were we just did we take you for granted in the fact that you were supposed to be this good? That is, I believe, the only way that they get cut is if they play really, really bad down here after they were in the MLS,
or if they were involved with some sort of
off field things as well.
That's something. That's something that has happened before, and so I just wanted to say that because it has happened before in other teams, So more recently, even though I don't think he was released by the Rowdies, but Ivan Megales. You guys remember him? He was involved in a I guess you can say a little incident with a fellow teammate where he beat him up really bad, and I do not believe he was cut. But it's those kind of things that pretty much some other teams might have no problem with releasing them because you're supposed to have some sort of discipline and you're not bringing that to me, so you're not good to me. So other than that, I think we have already kind of settled ourselves down, and I think that was one of our biggest concerns during the beginning of the season. We started with pretty much from scratch for 2018. We had no roster pretty much in the off season. And then so it was pretty much from scratch. We got some decent players. Like I said last time, this is a tree, needs to be pruned, making sure it continues to grow.
Right.
So
I like bonsai better.
there it is, everybody. So little parentheses, guys, that are in the chat right now, that are watching us right now live on YouTube. Let us know what you guys want to talk about. Give us your questions. We are watching the chat right now. So be sure to ask us any questions regarding the Toros, regarding the Dynamo. You guys want us to talk a little bit about what we saw from the Open Cup. We're more than welcome to talk about it. The kickoff tonight will be at 7:30 p.m. Doors will open here at HEB Park in about 5 minutes. So if you guys are watching us here from RGV, be sure to head over here to the HEB Park and come and watch the Toros play against Fresno FC.
All right. I've got something to share real quick before we get serious again. So, not long ago, because this is part of his punishment.
The explanation.
Exactly.
Actually, I want to hear it. I want to hear it from Cesar.
Wait, tell him what happened first.
Well, first, I texted Jeff Strong, and I said, get ready to retweet. The punishment will happen. And then he sent me the perfect GIF, or GIF, however you want to say it. I don't know if you guys can see it. That GIF from Friends. So, yeah, it's a perfect one.
So, Sloth, just to let you know, that little flashing light that you saw a little while ago, that was just the fire alarm. I think they were testing it or something like that. So that was just that bright light there.
That's how it went out. It was going off everywhere.
Yeah, and I saw it from the suites down there. It was doing as well. But it was interesting, and thankfully, they didn't have the sound. Imagine.
Yeah, I would have been out. I would have said, see ya.
Bye. All right, we're turning off the stream. You know what? Forget it. Live streams are never happened the way you want it to. But no, thankfully this one has been pretty decent so far. So Sloth actually wants to ask you all, what are y'all's expectations for next season? And I'll start with Cesar. We'll get to your punishment later on.
Yeah. As far as next season goes, what I want is just a consistency in the roster. Yeah. That's all. Granted, this is the affiliate team for Houston Dynamo. And with that being said, we have to expect some more changes with the roster. Granted, we can't always get what we want. We can't always have our cake and eat it too. But so far this season, I think it's been not too consistent, but it's been pretty consistent for the most part. But hopefully they'll be able to learn from their past mistakes, as in, having players sent up, AG Charlie Ward, and then just taking them for granted. Hopefully, like y'all said, they can learn from that, and then we'll have both a better development team and a better first team in MLS.
Yeah,
that's my expectation, is better consistency.
Well, and not to say that this wasn't a pretty consistent season, because compared to 2016, wow, was this a consistent season?
I think wow is a bit of an understatement.
Well, yeah.
2017?
2017, my mistake. 2016 was a great year. 2017. But for me, Sloth, I would say this. Basically, I want to see our team fight with passion each game, because as we saw, even our bench warmers weren't that good against whoever we played Wednesday, basically.
It was Reno.
Exactly. So just fight constantly, because we all know what's most likely going to happen this next season with U.S. Open Cup, Champions League. You can't think that it's going to be unreal where RGVFC is going to get to keep all their players. No. But, of course, what I see is wins, a lot more wins, and, hey, guess what? Strikes on target. I see that in the future.
More fans. That's also my expectation, too.
Yeah, but that falls on front office.
Yeah.
And guys...
Hey, guess what? That's a start. That's a start for doing this. As long as they can actually, what's the word? Constantly show it on TV, like on Channel 5. I've seen the stadium before on there. The only question is, can they make those local commercials to help?
I've actually seen them a lot more billboards. Actually, like today I saw 2.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Where at?
So right here on 281. And I think the other one I saw one heading to Reynosa.
I came in from Harlingen, so I don't think I saw them.
Yeah. So, but it's something. Trust me when I say that. In that regard, the front office is working on that. They are working on making the experience, the stadium experiences, the game day experiences better for the fans. Obviously, you cannot build Rome in one day. You cannot burn down the whole thing and then start from scratch and have it be successful, from the get-go. It's a continuous process. They are listening, guys. And this is imperative that you guys listen to this, because it's something that we have discussed before.
Yeah.
And that is that this organization are listening to us. They are reading your tweets. They are reading your comments on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. They are taking your suggestions, in their mind, and making decisions based on how to make this better for you all. But it's not going to reach.
Yeah, it's not going to reach. Okay.
So here, hand them yours, and you'll take the blue one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just cross over like that. I'll take the blue one.
And we're gonna have to scooch over a little.
Don't cross the streams.
There it is. There it is, everybody. But yeah, they are listening to you all. So be sure to be very active on Twitter, but do it right. Do not be offensive. Do not be you guys know.
Be proactive. Be proactive instead of reactive and being negative and hostile. We've got plenty of that already in real society. So just be nice to these folks. They will listen.
Yeah. And I mean, they have a lot on their plate, so they don't have to, well, the worst part is they have to deal with this crap that you guys bring to them, but they shouldn't have to, you know what I mean? So be, like he said, be proactive on social media. Say what you want to see better off of this stadium, the experiences. What do you want for season ticket holders? What kind of perks do you want? I know there's been a whole issue in regards to that, in which they feel like, it's not worth having season tickets because we don't get pretty much anything out of it different, So let them know. And they will listen. They will try to find a way to see if we can make that work, because trust me, they want the stadium filled. But
as do we.
Yes, but it's not. This is a two-way street. Front office has to do their part. We as fans have to do our part as well.
And right now, just coming from the lines, there was a lot of positive buzz outside. They really like the idea of Mr. Toro, the bobblehead. It is lovely. And right now, as I may plug the real store, the Pro Shop, right now, everything you see in there, 30%. In fact, they'll even throw in a little bonus for buying anything. It could be a lanyard, it can be a keychain, anything goes. In fact, I'll show you. They gave me a lovely Somos Toros bumper sticker. Lovely.
Fumble.
That was close.
Well, he already fumbled in the contest, so it's already bad enough for him.
All right, so
It can only get worse.
yeah, so going back, okay, so you're gonna show him that you bought yourself something.
Yeah. Like you said, like I said, 30% off of the store. I actually got this really nice trading jersey right here.
Lovely. Just
And
lovely.
they
You just need the USL logo on that bad boy.
And they did throw
Yank
in
threads.
Yank threads, guys.
One of those.
Somos Toros bumper sticker also.
Lovely. Lovely
Come
stuff.
on, Mr. Toro, let's dance. Okay, anyways,
Going back
Hey,
to
he has no dance moves, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, that is for sure. 100% proven. There's no need for science or anything. Okay, so you guys are probably wondering why our friend here, Cesar, is wearing a San Antonio scarf in the middle of RGVFC Toro country.
Uh-oh.
So,
this goes all the way back to the beginning of the World Cup.
In the middle of June, all of us pitched in our prognostications.
Begin flashback.
Sean nearly threw a nicely Tunisia v England draw upset. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Otherwise, he would have boat raced all of us put together.
I believe that pick was me.
And that was also partially you as well. But Sean was like buying into it all the way nearly. But except Conscious played right. England and Belgium won the group single-handedly. Thus, the round of 16 was where everything went to bed for everybody, even me, which picked Germany to boat race their group, and I completely flopped. But flopped enough to where I don't get to wear that San Antonio scarf.
okay, so here was the thing. So basically what happened is it was Ray, myself, Jacob, Cesar, and Sean from Generation Orange. We had this whole little competition to see, so we could, okay, our predictions. So basically we did the whole group stage before the World Cup started. So we would say, okay, who's going to come out first, who's going to come out second of each individual group. All right. So points were accumulated there. Went to round of 16, which in the end it did not count because Cesar did not put his picks. And then we went quarterfinals, and then after that, that's when you said, you know what, I'm out.
I already knew I was doomed from the start. What were the picks that I had?
Yeah.
With L3 winning, I'm pretty sure nobody saw that coming.
No.
I was happy, but
So in the end, my friend Cesar here is going to be wearing the San Antonio scarf throughout the show. He will be taking a picture with it in front of the Stampede. And Jeff Strong, do your magic on Twitter.
as promised.
Yeah, but I do have to give props to him because he pretty much took it like a man, and he is honoring his code.
Have most of the RGV players over there, so why not?
Well,
And they're even taking our beat writer too, for goodness sakes.
so today during the day, Greg Luca from the Monitor. And you guys remember Greg Luca if you guys have continuously watched Down in the Valley, because he's come on our show a couple of times. So Greg Luca announced today that he will be moving to the San Antonio Express News to be covering UTSA, which means we are currently, and today's going to be his last day, so he should be here, but it's going to be the last day for him. So now we are left without a beat writer for the Toros.
Yeah, there will be someone for next season. However, I don't think the Monitor or Ain't Texas Media has decided to, or hasn't hired the person covering them. And they will be announcing that pretty soon. So hopefully it will be one of those things where it's a win for everyone, a win for the community, a win for Ain't Texas, a win for us media members who need the coverage down here. And I just hope that it's just a win-win for everyone involved. Jacob.
I mean, Yeah, on that note, it's gonna be tough to replace Greg Luca, but it's not to mention that we've had some fantastic sports editors like him.
And let's not forget that this is pretty much a perfect opportunity for us to step up in the game and to stop being and for going from just a fan little podcast to something. We might not be journalists like
Greg is by trade,
but that doesn't mean that we can't cover this team like it should. And I think we've all taken a pledge. Ray, writing for BGN Written. By the way, thank you, Beautiful Game Network, for everything that you do. So be sure to check them out at the BGN FM, and BGN Written is at BGN Written, correct?
Yes, correct. And on a personal note, I will be writing blogs for the women's CONCACAF qualifying tournament of Group B stage games here in Edinburgh. So be sure to keep an eye out on that. Follow me on Twitter at CardPicker86. Instagram RaySilva1 and Facebook RaySilva1 as well.
And also we have Jacob writing for Last Word on Soccer.
Yeah.
And Cesar taking pictures for every one of us. So, and obviously, well, I'm gonna continuously gonna start writing more for Mente Futbolera in Spanish for both the Dynamo and RGVFC. Also for Down in the Valley for RGVFC. So be sure to follow each and every one of our accounts and be sure to, whenever the articles do come up, be sure to retweet them and interact with them. Leave comments. That's how we're going to get better. Give us your comments. Give us your feedback. Is this good? Is this good enough? Like, are you being informed by our articles? If we are, then we're doing a good job. If you're not, then it means we're not doing a good job.
And by the way, I got to give a special thank you for Carson Merck to looking over my work on nearly a weekly basis for me. I can't stress it enough, even though I have to step up my game on that for a little bit. And it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be a work in progress for all four of us here, thankfully. And Carson, just thank you so much for the opportunity, for the platform. And it's just going to be one of those things. It's going to be a work in progress. We're not journalists by trade, but we hope to one day to get there and not have that eternal struggle.
Is that Chris Seitz?
And people here are just looking at the practice shoot around for the Toros here, and they're thinking that they see a Chris Seitz sighting around here.
Who else has a beard?
Derek?
Tyler Derek?
I'm thinking it's Derek.
So we have Nico Cordy, and you guys.
Oh, okay. And yes, it is Tyler Derek starting in goal.
Tyler Derek, let's go! All right, you heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. All right. So what's the starting 11 for the Toros?
Okay, in the back line you got Omar Ontiveros, Connor Donovan, Kyle Adams, and Sheldon Sullivan. In the midfield, your personal favorite, Luis Gil, is in the starting 11, followed by Mr. Captain America himself, Todd Wharton, Nicolas Perea, who's been in fine form recently, and then you got Wilmer Cabrera, El Caliche, Carlos Small, and Lord Chuy Enriquez starting for the Toros.
Yeah.
All right, so what about Fresno?
Fresno, you got Pies starting at goal, and then Hayden Ellis in the back line, followed by Strong, then Del Campo, and then Brown. In the midfield, you have Alex Cooper, Arqueta, Catanares, Juan Pablo Cafa, the former Tulsa man, and Johnson in the back, and followed by the lone striker, Bevan, is the lone striker for Fresno.
So, according to this paper, let me go ahead and see it. According to this paper, the Toros will be playing a 4-3-3 formation. Makes perfect sense. You'll have Nico Perea and Luis Gil a little bit more offensive-minded, especially Luis Gil. Luis Gil isn't much of a defensive-minded defender. Why do I always say Gil and not Gil?
It's Gil, but he's American.
He's Gil for me, but
yeah,
he's from his parents do have some Mexican traits to him.
Yeah. So now, what I do find interesting here, the inclusion of Wilmer Cabrera Jr.
Okay, the guy's got to get his minutes in. This would have been another opportunity for Brandon Morales to get some more playing minutes. I understand what they're trying to do here. with giving Cabrera the run because he's had his form. You know, they're just trying to whip him up into shape per se.
Well, I mean, look at the bench as well. You've got Bryce Marion, Aldo Quintanilla, Morales, Hernandez, and Cordy, of course, and Castellanos on bench. That's not a bad bench. So you're thinking we start Wilmer Cabrera Jr.
Okay.
And then, of course, later around 50, maybe 60, we put in these guys that are normally electric off the bench. And I think Brandon Morales coming off the bench will be a fantastic substitution.
No, I'm not saying that that I don't like Wilmer Cabrera or anything. I just thought it was interesting. I didn't say that it was a bad thing. I just thought it was interesting to that he was going to be given the minutes.
Okay, my one substitution that has caught me off guard, Romelio Hernandez. He was the newly signed midfielder that they've gotten, who played in Phoenix last season, who was a draft pick by the Timbers, and obviously Gerson Echeverry sees something in him, and the times that the little usage that I've seen from him, it's been pretty bright, been pretty stellar. Okay, maybe it's not a full complement of 45 or 90, but the guy's also coming off just not having any activity due to injury. So now it's just something that it's just that these players are trying to get in shape for next year, and hopefully they get another contract to return for the club next season.
I do have some bad news for you. Frank Tayu did not make the trip.
Oh man, that was the one guy I was hoping to see from Fresno.
Sorry, man.
Ugh.
But yeah, continue on with this conversation. You know, we're going back to that backline that we all love so much, and I'm not being sarcastic in any way with this.
He's holding a flower in the back pocket, folks. Don't believe him.
Okay, here's the only interesting part, though. Omar Ontiveros as a right back. I don't think we've ever seen him there before.
No, we haven't, and that's kind of like an experimental move for Coach Gerson right there.
So
just put some thought into it. We've always seen him on the left, always, or if not some sort of a center back type of positioning.
No, Omar Ontiveros has always played center back. The one who would play on the left would be Kyle Adams.
Oh, and
now. So I think that's interesting to see how he is going to do there. Now, was Kai Green on the bench?
No.
Manny Padilla?
No.
That kind of raises some alarm in me.
Well, I mean, also think about it this way too. We have a game Wednesday, most likely, correct?
No.
Yes, against Tulsa. We're on the road.
It's not on Saturday?
Well, we do have 2 games this week. And I want to say it's Tulsa, San Antonio.
Hold on. Let me look at the schedule.
I'm not mistaken, that might be correct, yeah.
I mean, he is hiding underneath the hood,
Okay,
folks.
So we play Tulsa the 6th. Saturday
Which is a
the 6th.
Saturday.
And then the following week, the 13th, is San Antonio.
Oh, boy, that's going to be
so there is no midweek game anymore.
Okay, well, still not that bad, as in... I just think this is a game for us to try a bit of experimenting. And if that makes us have to leave off Kai Green for a game, that's all right by me. Because I do expect Kai Green and Aguilar and all those players to be back.
Now, remember what we were talking about in the beginning of the stream. And that is, Coach Echeverry is going to be using these couple of games that are for the end of the season to experiment and look for what to do for next season. And I think we might be starting to see something where his gears in his head are kind of like turning and seeing, hey, maybe we can use Omar Ontiveros as a left back. We might be some interesting roster moves.
There's going to be a lot of interesting questions coming up during the offseason. Okay, now that we got Dynamo in the CONCACAF Champions League, and you asked Wilmer Cabrera midweek in the Open Cup after the championship celebration, and he responded to, we're going to need 2 types of different squads if we're going to make a serious run at this. So maybe when they hit the road, we're going to see our roster somewhat hampered. And he's going to make a huge gamble by taking half of our roster. So, like I said, very, very early podcast, and I made a serious comparison to us with Real Monarchs. We're going to suffer a lot. We are. We're going to be near the bottom of the table. But once we get those results that Houston gets, like being in the CONCACAF Champions League, that might open up the doors to getting some better players. But yet, we're going to be exposed to get taken away from, to go play in an international tournament on the road, then being sent back down, so that way they can field an 8 team in Houston to make another serious cup run.
And who's to say that because the Houston Dynamo won the Open Cup, having the history of having a couple of ex-RGVFC players who won the Open Cup, who's not to say that we're not going to have a couple of USL players say, "Hey, I want to be a part of the Toros because if I'm young enough, the Houston Dynamo is going to want to look at me and play Open Cup, and I might be a future winner of the Open Cup, That all makes perfect sense, and it will be interesting to see how Matt Jordan is going to deal with all of this.
I mean, look, it's an extra $250,000 to $300,000 that they're going to have to invest wisely, like they have been doing right now. They've been finding a lot of diamonds in the rough. Now, I don't know what those discussions look like right now, but I can guarantee you that there's going to be another run for this international tournament coming up for the Dynamo, and that's going to affect the Toros once again, yes, but I tell you what, the future is bright for this team. It really is.
Yeah.
But we just have to be patient.
Exactly. Patience is key for this team. Like I said, if I'm not mistaken, I said it in a tweet or something. I'm all right. Yeah, I was talking to Cisco. That's right. I'm all right with us suffering another year because I've seen this team, especially from 2017 and 18, grow. And you look at this growth, you look at who's going to come from, and I'm pointing to the practice fields back there, but that's my point. Who's going to come from back there? Because we're close to a school. We have a lot of extra players from the academy, bring them up a bit. And then, of course, we've got our transfers, and we are kind of transfers, but the players that want to come here and Matt Jordan finding other players. You put that all together, oh my goodness me, you're looking at a real legit academy.
Okay. You added something there with academy. Let's go back to Houston for a little bit.
Okay.
They are nearly to the brink of elimination if any negative result happens to them.
Including tonight.
Now, this is the time for Wilmer Cabrera to start experimenting a little bit more with that Venezuelan kid he's got. He's got to open up the doors for Mimo Rodriguez to get more playing minutes. It's not that he hasn't been getting enough minutes, but I just think it's just one of those things where both coaches, Gerson and Wilmer, have to open up all the possibilities to using everything they've got in their arsenal to say, look, 2 games may not be enough, but it's something that we have to give in and experiment to see what we've got and what we need to do to prune those trees and make it look beautiful, as you alluded to in earlier podcast.
Yeah.
So right now, this is still experimental stage. Just because the Toros are eliminated, Houston is nearly eliminated, but I think they're going to field the strong side. And I think that once that elimination hits the fan for Houston, it's going to be experimenting time for both squads.
I definitely agree with this.
Same.
I mean, you take a look at the Toros' last signing, Romelio Hernandez. The guy deserves a run. I mean, yeah, the guy may not have much soccer since he last played with Phoenix all through now. I mean, he's coming off a knee injury. Right now, Aldo's still nursing a knock. What type of knock is it? Who knows?
Well, I mean, he's on the bench for tonight's game, so we might see him for a bit. Yes, he's probably still nursing that injury, but as long as we see him on the bench, that's perfect. We will see him getting more playing time, and most likely playing time for Houston. You look at that, it's just it's. We're talking about it. It's a perfect situation for Houston.
It's an ideal
It's a terrible situation for us, but it's a perfect situation for Houston.
It's an ideal situation for everyone involved, if you take a look at it that way. Because yes, our players are gonna get exposure outside of the Rio Grande Valley, and yes, they are gonna travel the miles. So that may fatigue them a little bit with those long miles of traveling. But hey, who's to say that we can't have another run in this?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, look at AJ De La Garza. He was still coming back from a torn ACL. He did the miles fine. He was. I don't necessarily know if he was going to play on Wednesday, but he was there in Houston.
Yeah.
Who's to say that he might not come back for one or two last games at the end of this season? Who knows? Obviously, not even the player right now.
Yeah, definitely. Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. I know they've been trying to take AJ De La Garza's recovery kind of a slow process because they don't want to see.
They're treating them with the most cotton balls they can find.
Yeah, Cesar. You know, he used to deal with cotton.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, you know, it's a thing where, you know, they did not want the same thing to happen with AJD when it happened with Cabezas. And that was, Cabezas went out with, I believe it was a knee injury. He goes back against New York City FC a couple months after the inaugural game. And then during the middle of the week, he falls back on that same injury, which delayed his return even more until just recently. And they wanted to avoid that with AJ De La Garza. But I think that what they have seen in these past couple of games. You good to go? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry to cut it short, guys, but as a photographer, I gotta go set up already.
But yeah, but thank you.
Thank you, Cesar.
Yeah, and go kill him out there with that camera. But yeah, basically what I was saying is that with AJ De La Garza, we've seen that he's already played, I believe, 2 matches with full 90 minutes. So I think he's ready.
You know, it's nice to say that he's ready, but I would personally think that AJ is gonna be one of those things like, okay, yeah, they're gonna take not the babyest of steps of precaution with him, but they are gonna like try to loosen him up, let him get a full off season, because he had that injury. Okay, he wasn't able to do much post surgery. He wasn't able to make contact with the ball. He wasn't able to do much physically. So I think it's nice for the organization to give him his runs out for a little bit. But now it's going to be interesting how much will a full off season will grant him to see what he can do for a full season. And also you've had other players like Jared Watts, who suffered a concussion, who came down here and played a few games for us. And then you've had other players who have had like season-ending injuries that have hurt Houston, and they've had to pretty much play Band-Aid rotation with their squads.
And we talked about it many times in Generation Orange, is how bad injuries were for the Dynamo. You know, at one point we had 5 defenders out for injury.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we pretty much talked all we needed to talk about with the Toros, with the season. We've already talked about the starting XI for tonight's match, which I think is going to be pretty decent.
No, it's not. Not for me, at least. At least from a visiting team standpoint. I'm crying on the inside.
Tell us a little bit more about that. I want to see your...
Okay, I'm crying a little bit on the inside for the visiting team, Fresno FC Foxes. They have one of the better indoor soccer players in all the MASL, Frank Tayu, or as a lot of people call him in the arena soccer realm, El, El Rey Tayu, or the King Tayu. Why? He broke a single season record of scoring 71 goals, breaking the old record of 57 from a San Diego soccer player. Okay, I'm a little bit hurt by that because that just leads me to one thing. I think the guy is starting to relax a little bit, and preseason starts for him in late October for indoor soccer for the Monterey Flash and all the other teams that are involved in the MASL. So I'm either guessing on one of two things for Frank Tayu. Either A, he's asked for his release, which I would not be surprised, or B, and not that he's had a bad rap with any of his coaches or any of his clubs that he's been, but the guy, you know, he's just one of those players that he loves to have great relationships with his coaches, and sometimes he's just one of those players like, hey, coach, I can't, not tonight. I'm just not feeling good. I mean, he'll practice, he'll go through the motions, but he's just one of those things like, you know, I just won't practice type of thing.
Yeah.
Or he'll practice, but it would not be suited for game.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you were looking forward to having him on for an interview, but you know, just things happen.
Yeah.
It's something that's off of our control. But yeah.
But let's take a look at our history against Fresno. 2-2 draw last time we played them.
Yes.
We did draw them on the road when we had
let's
Nicolas.
not remember how bad the defense was that game.
Well, forget about the defense. I mean, we had a pretty strong showing for a good spell of the game. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, we had to come back and draw that game.
Yeah. So this happened on May 2nd, and we were down on a Connor Donovan own goal in the 30th minute.
Who did I compare him with the Premier League defender?
Goodness.
Brighton Albion Hove defender, Lewis Dunk.
Lewis Dunk, yeah.
Yeah, and then in the 52nd minute, he had Chuy Enriquez with an authentic golazo, Andre Pierre Guignac style.
And goal of the week nominee, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he won goal of the week.
Goal of the week.
Yeah, he won goal of the week with that one, and that happened in the 52nd minute. And then you had Connor Donovan doing a bad giveaway when they were preparing pretty much the offense. They lost it in the build-up, and then Cooper in the 61st minute took advantage of that mistake and scored the 2-1. And then in the 73rd minute, you had that was after they brought in Jordan Jones to be Aldo Quintanilla's partner.
The other focal point of the attack.
Yes, and beautiful combination play between both of them. 73rd minute, Aldo Quintanilla scores the equalizing goal, and that was the end result for that match.
Yeah, it was one of those contested ball games where it should have gone either way, and I think both teams just settled for the draw that night.
Yeah. So the starting 11 for that game was you had Nico Cordy on goal, Kyle Adams, Robert Castellanos, Connor Donovan, Kai Green, Chuy Enriquez, Nico Perea, Todd Warden, Monday Etem, Aldo Quintanilla, and Matias Santos.
Now that's a name you haven't heard frequently, Monday Etem. Yeah, I mean, he's a player that hasn't had enough minutes, and I think he might be one of those fringe players that may get a run against Tulsa next Saturday. That's just me being a forecaster, playing, not having a magic ball of any type, but that's just me being me.
But see, my question has always been, like, with Monday Etem, with the minutes that he has been getting, has he really shown something?
Not really, but I mean, hey, you can't really say that he hasn't been giving his opportunity, but this might be one of the last opportunities that some of our fringe players might get for the upcoming season. I mean, now it's going to be a showcase for our club for right now.
Hey, Nico Corti, if you could stop hitting own goals, that'd be great.
Or Todd Wharton, please don't break any more shot glasses.
That was Eric Bird.
Eric Bird, please don't break any more bottles.
He's not here, thankfully. No. But Eric Bird, I know I talked to you after the Open Cup game, dude. Congratulations on that goal, and congratulations on winning the Open Cup. I was actually talking to a lot of to a lot of the guys from the used to be the Toros. I went up to AJD and thanked him for everything he did with the Toros. And interesting enough, so I was talking to my friend Samara and Misraim from Mente Futbolera, and Connor Donovan comes up to me and says hi to me in the locker room. And I was completely surprised about that. I was like, holy crap! Like that's just pretty cool.
So how was covering that Open Cup match for you? How did it feel like covering that match?
Oh, I had to have a lot of self-restraint, to be honest, because obviously you cannot celebrate or anything like that in the press box. And then, however,
Was there some nostalgic to it? Was there like a different type of mist in Houston that night, just based on everything that the organization had gone through the last 3 to 4 years?
Yes. I think the attendance that night that was reported was about 16,000, and it was a very electric night. The fans were pretty much paying attention to the game, creating pressure on Andre Blake. I know there was an incident where he was completely dissing a ball boy, and the stadium went full at him, in retribution for yelling at the ball boy. So there was pressure that I think Philadelphia Union were not expecting from the fans. And granted, there were a lot of Sons of Ben that night, but sorry, Justin, if you're listening. I know you were with the Sons of Ben that day, but yeah, sorry, not sorry. But Sons of Ben was a complete disappointment, because once they were losing, they were extremely quiet. Yep. And one of the things I also told them was the fact that I was extremely disappointed, more along the lines that when the game ended, almost everybody from Sons of Ben left. They did not stay to give support to their players. Their players were coming over to them, and they saw that there was very few people left up there where they were at. Yeah. And but here's the best part of it all. The Houston Dynamo, but the Houston Dynamo fans clapped at the Philadelphia Union players and coaches, because out of respect, because they gave it their all.
Yeah, it was a hard fought game, and there goes that voice of HB Park, Jacob Berry. Hello, if you may be here, but I was watching the game at home. I caught the from the 55th minute on, and I could just see the stadium just having a different feel, which is why I'm asking you these questions. You were there, and to me, it just had that different nostalgic feeling to it. It had that mystified rarity air that you don't get during MLS matches. It's just one of those things okay, yes, I understand it's a championship game, but it should be like that for every Dynamo game. It's just one of those things that I was happy to see as a Dynamo fan myself. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things that, I'm glad that they won the cup. I'm glad they were able to pull it off. And one side note for Justin, who I not know personally, but I really felt bad for Austin Trusty scoring that own goal. That guy, he has a lot of potential to be on the U.S. national team. He has already represented the national team on the U20 level, U17 level, and I think he's just one of those premier defenders that if Philadelphia ever sells him to a Belgian club or Dutch club, let him grow physically out there, he can become the next Oguchi Onyewu.
Who, by the way, retired, right?
Thank you for that famous stare down, Oguchi. Just thank you.
Who was it? Was it with Borghetti, right?
It was Borghetti. Yeah. He's all like, "Are you gonna come at me or not?" type of moment. Mm-hmm. And he just left that iconic stare forever. And I'm gonna have it as one of my pictures.
Yeah, Austin Trusty has been an amazing player for them. I do recall watching him with when they were in the World Cup or whatever for that U17 and stuff. Because
when it was played in New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken, in 2015.
Yeah.
It was such a great tournament, in which, by the way, has produced one of our players in Kyle Adams. He's a Kiwi himself. He played for New Zealand.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I've always wanted to ask him, hey man, what is that feeling like to lose an iconic figure in Shane Smeltz. I mean, there's no one to represent New Zealand unless you're a Winston Reid as a defender or Chris Wood as a striker. It's just one of those things that you know that New Zealand is one of those. You can't use the word strange, but you can't use the word weak because really it's just an unfair disadvantage that they have competitively in terms of FIFA qualification to World Cup tournaments.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things because of their region of qualifying isn't as strong as say Europe or
Which is why
South America.
Which is why Australia decided to move to the Asian Confederation, right?
And look what Australia is doing. I mean, they've pretty much taken a spot from your traditional powers like Japan and Korea. You know, it's them two, and then followed by Australia, and then whoever wants a third place, let's play paper rock scissors. I mean, there's no real stability in Asia aside from those three countries. Yes, China may have a super league where they are pretty much restricting everything to grow their national team and their league strongly. Yes, bring up Mr. Toro. Yes, 600 of them were given, and yes, I did end up getting one. It's so lovely. It's lovely. Yes, I mean I love it. I mean, yes, bobble your head. Yes, go ahead, bobble. Yes, lovely. And yeah, I mean, look at the detail on the back.
Yeah,
His real uniform doesn't show the number 1, but yet this is a well articulated. And take a look at the sponsor down here.
Nature Valley.
Nature
We are not
Valley.
sponsored by Nature Valley, but Mr. Toro is.
RGVFC is technically.
Hey, and could this be a future uniform leak?
I think
Take a look
so.
at the uniform. Take a look at the
We'll
uniform,
start,
folks.
and then that looks really nice.
I really like that combination. I don't know. I mean,
And I do see an HEB. Well, but that's because HEB was the one that bought sponsored
them.
the bobbleheads. So I don't think that it's really a telling little thing.
But just take a look at the uniform itself and how it's not a home kit uniform.
Well, technically it is, but obviously they're not going to go like for 600 of them and go line gradient. It's just just something little simple, something little real quick.
I mean,
you can tell that this is RGVFC uniform.
I'm thinking that might be a future kit.
I think you're correct on that because honestly, if they really wanted to sell like, one that was for our jersey that we have right now, they would have done it. This is something for future. You are correct on that. I think there's something about that jersey that will be true.
I don't know. I think we're
And
looking.
HEB, I mean, this is HEB Park, so already that should be on our jersey.
I think we're overanalyzing a little bobblehead, right, Mr. Toro? See, even Mr. Toro says yes.
Well, yeah, because all he can do is that.
Well, he can say no, but
Not really.
well, I mean, you get the point. All right, so we're kind of touched the subject on Open Cup, and I mean, what are your thoughts? Was this more along the lines of that Dynamo brought their all, that like gathered their energy and said, hey, this is our house, nobody comes in and steps in our house, especially in a final? Or was it more along the lines that Philadelphia Union was pretty much did not bring their A game?
Interesting that you guys bring that up. Philadelphia was in fine form coming into this game.
Well, yeah.
Regardless of how each team may have played their way to Open Cup, but Philadelphia was in fine form coming into this game, knocking off top Western Conference teams. So one could have easily predicted Philadelphia's going to boat race Houston again. And now, when they first met earlier in the season,
Please don't remind me.
the phantom red card that never should have happened.
Let me go across. Oh, I stepped on his foot by accident because I was looking at the ball.
So, okay, so basically...
That was a red card. Well, it was.
No, so here's the worst part, okay? And the worst part of that play was the fact that the referee did not call anything originally. Goes to VAR.
That's right.
And he's like, oh, that's aggression. Yeah, that's a red card for Tomas Martinez. What the hell? Like, seriously?
Just because you're from a Latin country does not give the ref a right to say he's from there. That's a red card. That was on purpose. Like, dude,
and even
what a stereotype right there.
No, and I don't think it's like that. But more along the lines, I mean, come on. I mean, it's obvious that Tomas Martinez was going to kick the ball, and it just so happened that the defender got there first. Yeah, you're going full force with your foot. Yeah, are you going to be able to stop it? Yeah, no. Of course, that's not going to happen. Yellow card would have been fine. Yellow card would have been fine for me.
Would have been weird, but remember, yes, I do agree.
But remember, VAR, it's when it's something that shouldn't merit a red. If the VAR said it, or VAR dictated that, hey, this is might be a yellow card, he can't give a yellow card. It's either you give a red card or
of course, it's like, hey, there's something here. Maybe you want to take a look at it. You didn't call anything initially. Mm-hmm. That was the reason for that VAR. Yes, he decided, okay, they say I missed something. I kind of think I need to give.
Okay, so here's
kind of where I'm seeing it now that you bring that up.
Now, here's another thing. That referee, before that game, only had 4 other MLS matches that he was ref.
And he was very young, too, right?
Yes.
He was one of the youngest?
Yes. And here's the kicker. So, after the games, you have a designated reporter that you can go, you send them, for a couple of questions that you want them to ask. And so they have to go out, you give them time, and they have the center official has to go out with the reporter on record and give the answers to the questions. So in that case, that day it was Jesus Acevedo, who, by the way, thank you for all your
help and support.
Yes. So anyways, so he gives him the paper with the questions in regards to that call. A couple minutes later, 4th official comes out, gives Jesus a paper.
That's the match report that normally.
No. That paper had the answers to the questions. Mm-hmm. Jesus tells him, hey, according to the regulations, it has to be like the questions have to be spoken. The answers have to be spoken, not written, and it has to be the first official. And the 4th official just grabs the paper and just starts reading. The first official was too either embarrassed or something like that, but he did not show his face, and stood up to his mistake. And I think that was the worst thing about that referee that night.
Yeah, it shows immaturity. It shows that he is a pro ref, as in from that league. It shows how badly that organization is, how they're teaching their refs how to be, basically. In my opinion, yeah, if I were ever a ref, which I don't believe I will, I wouldn't necessarily want to be with the pro or organization. It just does not seem like it's professional.
So
not minding the joke.
So Ray, you brought up something about pro referees last time that we were talking. I don't remember, it was off the record though. Mm-hmm. But you did mention something about pro referees being used in NCAA, and I know because you work.
No, you see, college officiating uses a different organization called NISOA, mm-hmm. and they use them for NCAA Division 1, 2, and 3, NAIA, and JUCOs. They each get referees from there because, of course, that's where they get them. Now, of course, the next step for those NISOA guys is to make the jump to pro referee. So it's kind of like self-promotion, relegation for these guys to continue getting games in. Of course, some of the rules do change because in NCAA soccer you have unlimited amount of substitutions, whereas the pro game in MLS, USL, you only get 3. Mm-hmm. So that's where a little bit of the intertwine or interchanging of the rules change a little bit for these referees, and sometimes they kind of forget to apply what may be in one book cannot translate into the other. It's kind of like the substitution rule. Like, okay, let's say for example, I bring in a player and it's my best forward, and my team's gonna take a corner kick. I'm forcefully in college soccer gotta have to make the substitution. I'm forced to. Whereas in pro soccer, I can hold it back until the next dead ball. That's kind of like some of the nuances and some of the rules that change from pro to collegiate.
And then I know on one collegiate for the substitution rule, once that player is subbed in that first half, they cannot be re-subbed again until the second.
And that's also a little nuance, but that's like for like all the other 10 field players or 11 players that are out on the pitch. But that's something like completely different from pro. But I'm just making reference to what the substitution protocol differs from collegiate to pro. Whereas pro, you can hold back that sub until the play is finished, because it becomes a live ball and not a dead ball.
So we're a couple of minutes away from kickoff. It is currently 7:20, so we are 10 minutes away from kickoff. I think this is a perfect opportunity to say goodbye to this live show. I really enjoyed it.
Bring up Mr. Toro.
Mr. Toro, come on, Mr. Toro. Did you enjoy today's episode? See, you enjoyed. And so I hope you guys enjoyed, that are up there in the YouTube chat, enjoyed this as well. But before we go, I want to hear your predictions for tonight's game.
All right, predictions for tonight's game. I don't expect anything really crazy to happen. I do expect to see some fight from RGVFC, and I do expect us to come away with a win. I believe the last time that I said we would come away with a victory would be, 2-0. I think we will actually get this 2-0 victory, especially with Tyler Derrick at goal. And the way that our attacking will be, I believe it will be perfect. A perfect way to attack, and it will be fantastic. 2-0, my prediction.
Ray?
Based what I've been seeing from the last few weeks from the Toros, I've seen a lot of fight. I've seen a lot of urgency. I've seen a lot of everything. And thus, with them being eliminated, I can see us pulling off a nice, comfortable 2-0 win as well. If I'm going to be a bold statement, red card for each, game opens up, and we might see a high scoring fest with a 3-2 win for the home side. Edson?
Your bold prediction first.
Okay, bold prediction. Really will be tough. I do see things getting heated. That is for sure. As in, maybe not necessarily like red cards, but I do see things getting heated to where there will be some meetups, let's say at like midfield or confrontations after the game, or even during a little bit of stoppages.
Let me stop you there. I think Gerson's pulling off a nice little Ric Flair stunt down there, folks. He's pulling off that Ric Flair strut, when he would walk into the ring.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
Let me see if I can.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, Edson! I can't believe you pulled that one off.
Yeah, you pulled it off for sure.
It's okay. I don't think they'll be able to actually see because it was kind of blurry.
Oh, okay.
All right. But okay. So your bold prediction was?
Yeah, just things get heated basically, and we will see scoring like 2-2 at one point, and RGVFC to come away with a 3-2 victory.
You just stole my thunder there.
All right. My prediction.
That's what I
2-1 Toros.
Okay.
My bold prediction is that Wilmer Cabrera Jr. is going to get a brace.
Wow. The youngster doesn't fail.
Wow.
Is that a theme for you?
The youngster doesn't fail. I mean, come on. Technically, I'm younger than this guy. And, yeah.
Well, you're younger than me.
Younger than you and younger than him.
Yeah.
But Cabrera's like severely younger than you, which is why I'm going...
Cabrera Jr.?
Yeah.
Okay. I get what you're saying now. But Yeah.
Hey.
He's 17?
Yes.
Yeah, you're
Wow.
barely 19, aren't you?
Just about to be 19.
Party's on him, folks. Party's on him.
So-
At Hooters too.
So thank you guys for joining in on
Thank you,
today's
guys.
episode.
Thank you.
Really, I think we had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah.
Actually, I think this is a whole lot more fun than doing it via Skype.
Yeah.
Less
Big time.
problems to deal with.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No
but-
green screen, no nothing.
No
Yeah.
green screen, no Discord. I mean, it's fantastic.
And the real Mr. Toro is out on the field now.
And he's wearing the home kit, not the bobblehead kit.
Well, you know what they say. So, guys, thank you so much for y'all support for Down in the Valley. We really appreciate it. Be sure to join us next week,
Wednesday?
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah.
Next Thursday for the next episode of Down in the Valley. Also, be sure to check out Ray on BGN Written,
Yep, thank you.
and as well follow
The
him.
segment called The Orange Blocks. Do not forget the Orange Blocks.
and then as well follow him and his Twitter at CartPicker86.
Thank you.
Be sure to follow Last Word on Soccer for Jacob's articles for them, and follow him at Jacob Young 456
Exactly,
on Twitter.
yeah.
And also be sure to check out our friends, the Beautiful Game Network, at the BGNFM.
Roughneck Scarves.
Yes.
Another sponsor.
Yeah, that's Roughneck. So be sure.
That's BGN sponsor.
Yeah, that's a BGN sponsor.
no,
But yeah, no, we
let's
have
be
to
real.
say. We have to
Yeah,
say.
exactly.
I mean,
They part of family too.
yeah, much love from Roughneck Scarves. Be sure to check them out. They are the official scarf supplier of the USL, MLS, and NCAA. Be sure to also check out DonnaTheRGV.com. We have wallpapers, we have photo galleries, we have my articles there as well. So be sure to give them a read. Be sure to share each and every one of our articles, please.
Sharing is caring, folks.
Exactly. And more people, the more you share on Facebook, the more you share on Twitter, the more you share on Instagram, hey, the more you share, okay, I'm not going to, the more you share on farmersonly.com, maybe farmersonly.com, because you cannot be lonely at farmersonly.com. That's just an inside joke, guys. But anyways, yeah, be sure to share it out with your friends, your family, and let people know more about the Toros. And we're going to have to go now because
Teams are coming onto the
Yeah.
pitch.
So,
Exactly.
thank you so much.
Final goodbye from Mr. Toro. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
And we'll see you. Take care.
Man, I love that song. Can someone SoundCloud that one for me?
Do you need me the way I miss you? 'Cause I can barely. You're the one I can't deny. I wanna take you sky. Take you sky.